Gumluck the Greatest. Beyond the forest, in the center of the market square, the townspeople were holding the harvest dance. Everyone was there, even the king. Past the market square, all the little houses sat empty. Past the houses was the king's tall, tall mountain. And at the very top of the king's tall, tall mountain, the castle creaked. It shuddered and creaked again. It was heavy on one side, the side with the treasure room. The king's treasure room had too much gold in it. Down the mountain again, past the houses that were empty and the market that was full, far from the happy dancing, Gumluck the wizard heard music. This was the evening of the harvest dance, of course. He tapped his foot. Back when I was a great warrior, I was also a great dancer, said Butterscotch. He reeled around the room. The greatest. Gumluck did not feel much like dancing anymore. It had been a long week and an especially long Friday. You should go, he said. I may stay home this year myself. But if you do not go, can they still name you the harvest hero? Asked the ghost. Or will they have to name someone else, like me? Gumluck did not answer. He supposed the prince would probably just win again anyway. Far away in the market square, a song ended and another began. But there was a different, louder sound as well, carried on the wind to the house in the hill. A crack. A second later, I flew to the window, wonderstruck. Come quickly, I said. The townspeople need help. In the market square, the band stopped playing. The eyes of all the townspeople turned upward. Atop the king's mountain, another stone broke. Crack! And the castle tipped and fell. Heaven, help us! Cried the people in the square. Have no fear, Gumluck cried, running up out of breath. It is me, the little wizard who lives in the big hill. He thought of the truth fairy. He thought of shrinking and holes. Then he took a breath. I am here to help. Hello! Every man and woman and child looked at Gumluck, then at the downhill crashing, swiftly tumbling castle, and then at Gumluck again. Are there any other wizards here? Shouted the prince. Only me, said Gumluck, your favorite. The castle rolled like a giant die toward the empty houses. Mercy, said the butcher. Save our homes. Yes, said Gumluck. Here I go. He raised his hands. He lowered his brows. He had never tried to help so many people at once before. It is a very big castle, he explained. The castle crushed the houses and kept rolling. Save us, said the baker. Ah, said Gumluck, I know a good spell. If you believe in me, the little wizard who lives in the big hill, my spell will make you strong. Everyone who believes in me will become strong like a great warrior, and together we will catch the castle, catch it and carry it away. So, said the butcher. Your spell will make us strong, said the baker. Yes. Strong enough to catch a castle, said the candlestick maker. If you believe in me, said Gumluck. But only if we believe in you, the prince sneered. So if we don't, the spell won't work and we'll all be crushed. Exactly, said Gumluck. It's perfect. The people were quiet. Do you know any other spells? Shouted the king. Here I go, said Gumluck. And as the castle charged toward them, he cast his spell. The spell fanned out over the people, and the people felt very much unchanged. Then the massive castle rumbled and bounced one last bounce. The great shadow of it fell on them first, and then the rest of the castle followed. A second later, when they did not die, the people opened their eyes. The castle had stopped, just stopped, in thin air above them. They could reach up and touch it. They could see every stone and brick. I caught the castle in my claws and was madly flapping to keep in flight. Little help, I croaked. And that was how I learned I believed in the wizard Gumluck. That was when I realized I loved him. What a way to find out. Gumluck smiled up at me. The people looked at both of us in wonder. I believed in Gumluck, so finally they did too. And once they believed in Gumluck, they were made strong, just like he'd promised. Even Prince Whoop-de-Doo. In the end, we all carried that castle together and put it safely down by the mountain before the magic faded. I am sorry about your homes, Gumluck told them, but I know where there are some strong sticks and straws and bricks. Oh, no, squeaked the king. So the townspeople spent the evening building themselves new houses out of gold. Gumluck helped, of course, and when the houses were finished, he called the stars down to light the way home. Oh, wow. The people walked silently through the starlight. Silently, they opened the doors of their starlit homes. They looked silently back at Gumluck without knowing what to say, and went to bed without saying a word. You're welcome, I shouted. Gumluck smiled and said, I know how they feel. It was late when we walked home. Leaves crunched beneath our feet. There was a soft moon behind a thin sheet of clouds, looking sleepy like people do when they're full. I frowned at the flashy trash I was carrying. It was much too big and said Harvest Hero on it in shiny letters. What am I supposed to do with a crown? I asked. It is yours, said Gumluck. You may do whatever you wish. I tossed it in the bushes. I'm sorry they named me Harvest Hero instead of you, I told him. That is okay, said Gumluck. He sounded like he meant it. I don't think I will worry so much about what the people name me from now on. Good. Do you know how we came to be friends? I asked. Gumluck scrunched up his face. It was something he did when he was thinking. Magic? He asked. It feels like magic. I suppose it had been magic in a way. After all, it had been Gumluck's magic bucket that bumped quite accidentally, I know, into my nest. Gumluck's magic that had caused the empty nest to fall to pieces on the ground. I had been mad about that. I wasn't any more. Gumluck's magic was what brought us together. So I suppose I would tell him about it someday, but not today. Yes, I agreed. Magic. I thought so, said Gumluck. He watched me and smiled. You are in a fine mood. I am, I said. There is something I've decided not to be mad about any more, and that is a fine feeling. Besides, I was about to make a very fine nest. I had taken some of the king's straw and sticks. Gumluck had a funny look. Butterscotch says that when he was alive, he was a great warrior. Really? I was so sure he had been an ice cream scoop. Gumluck jumped. That is what the fairy said, too. Well, I always feel cold when he is around. Oh, that is just a ghost thing, said Gumluck. Ghosts make you cold. He also smells like vanilla. Okay, true. We'd walked a little farther when Gumluck suddenly stopped, so I stopped. I think Buttercotch was a great warrior, he said. He scrunched up his face again, and this time I could see he really was thinking. A person should get to tell you who they are, he said. And if they are living that life, then they need a family of friends who hear them tell it and say, yes, that's you. All right, we believe you. He watched a leaf fall at his feet. I am Gumluck, he told the leaf, and helping people is what I like about myself. The leaf was speechless. Not me, though. Yes, I told Gumluck. That's you, all right. I believe you. Gumluck nodded and kept walking, and I went along beside him. If the Truth Fairy ever visits you when you are trying to sleep, she might tell you there are no happily ever afters. That's true. Even happy lives have good days and bad. Still, I wish the fairy had told Gumluck about that woman who came wanting a dress. Do you remember? She did get her dress in the end, sewn by Tooth and Beak and Tiny Claw. And would you guess her harvest dress looked more beautiful than any dress the kingdom had ever seen? Well, it didn't. It looked weird. It was made by mice and birds. It looked so weird and made the woman so unhappy. She ran crying into the street and was nearly run down by a speeding wagon, a wagon that was stopped just in time by a man with magically large muscles. They were getting married in the spring. That is a pretty happy ending. And that fussy prince, he tripped and fell into a pile of horse droppings. That's a happy ending too, if you ask me. Gumluck ever after. We got home so late that we had walked out of Sunday and straight into Monday. It is Monday, said Gumluck the wizard. Again, I said. The sun was just squinting over the hill. Where has the week gone? Said Gumluck. He scratched his head. I hope we do not have any visitors from town. I'm bushed. He frowned at his house. Helvetica, is that how big my hill is? He asked. That's too big. Oh, phoo, I laughed. You darling old noodlehead. The end.